All right, welcome back. Now, when it comes to our next story, we got a trailer for an upcoming Netflix movie. And may I say that this year so far, what Netflix has delivered in terms of animated movies, it's honestly been pretty bad. I mean, thankfully at the start of it, we did get DreamWorks Animation delivering what I consider to be a pretty underrated film with Orion in the Dark. But so far, the ones under Netflix Animation, or at least the ones that Netflix would keep on delivering, they've just been pretty bad, honestly. There's nothing that I feel like have been very impressive or really enjoyable on the levels of something like Mitchell's versus the Machines or Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio or last year's Nimona. So far, you would get crap like Thelma the Unicorn. Then there was Ultraman Rising, which I thought it was okay, it was a pretty decent movie, especially the animation is just fantastic in there. And then very recently, we got Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie that was just god-awful. Like, honestly, I do feel like it was the worst animated film I've seen on Netflix since America the Motion Picture. Like, it was really bad. So hopefully, the next animated feature that they will deliver could go and actually make things better to help really wash off that awful taste of what I consider to be possibly the worst thing I have seen from SpongeBob as of yet. But will this actually help it out though? Will it actually make things better? Well, we're about to go and find out as we shall go and take a look at the teaser trailer for the upcoming Skydance animation movie, Spellbound.
Oh, they're here! Oh, they're here! Be cool.
And that is Spellbound, to which the movie is going to be released on Netflix on November 22nd. God, honestly, just watching this, it makes me feel like, yeah, I just want to rewatch Wish. Honestly, just give me Wish any day of the week compared to what we have just witnessed. I'm just going to go and say that right now. Now, the one thing that I just want to go and clarify is that I do understand if there are some people out there who want to go and give this a chance and look past some of the controversial people that are involved with this, especially with the fact that this is a Skydance animation movie. The producer is, in fact, John Lasseter, the disgraced producer who got fired from Disney because of his long history of sexual misconduct. So I understand if there are some people out there, they want to look past John Lasseter in order to go and give this movie a chance. But already, right off the bat, it does not want you to forget that this is from John Lasseter. And I think that is already the one thing that I feel like is the major thing that people have been complaining about. The biggest problem with what we have seen, the fact that it has to keep knocking you down again and again to remind you that this is from the visionary of Toy Story and Cars and also A Bug's Life and Toy Story 2 and apparently Toy Story 3 and also Cars 2 and stuff like that. Like, just going in, like putting this, like shoving it in front of our faces again and again of John Lasseter's credentials of his works at Pixar. Mainly the ones that he has directed, and also the inclusion of Toy Story 3, because I guess. And then you would just get that one quick little moment where they would also go and mention Vicky Jackson, the director of this feature, who previously worked on, hold on, where is it? Yeah, right here. Mentioning that it's from the co-director of Shrek. Like, after the pandering of John Lasseter that they would do again and again and again to try to enforce the ideology that this would somehow be a Pixar quality feature, and then just one quick little moment that it is Shrek. Now, I know that Skydance has previously done this before, where they did go and say the same thing with the movie Luck. In their trailer, they would say that it's from the same guy that brought you Toy Story and Cars. But this one right over here, man, did it double down. And not only that, but really sounding desperate about it. Like trying to, like they want to try to be cheeky with each of the things that they would go and say, like they would say, oh yeah, the Visionary also did this. Oh, and by the way, did we also mention Toy Story 2? And Cars 2? Oh, and don't forget Toy Story 3. Trying to be like cheeky about it, but it just makes it absolutely cringe. And honestly, it just feels like right now, you're like, it really clarifies that Skydance Animation literally has nothing in terms of promoting its feature and really dependent on riding off of the back of Disney. And also, I did see, by the way, that in terms of the tags, like, I cannot show it to you here, unfortunately. I wish I could, but I did take a picture on my social media. But I did notice that even the tags that they would go and include on this, the grand majority of them are actually Disney related. That they would list down the Disney princesses like Snow White, Cinderella, Aurora, Tiana, Elsa, Anna, and several others, and putting in like different Disney tags like Disney, Disney Princess, Moana, Toy Story, and Cars and stuff like that. Like, they're really dependent on trying to use Disney as a marketing tool to promote their stuff. And that, honestly, I cannot lie, that feels absolutely shameless. I know that technically the studio is still in their beginnings, but the fact that they're dependent on trying to use the Disney brand in order to promote their stuff instead of using the content itself in order to go and promote it, that honestly, not only does it feel shameful, but it really does clarify that it has nothing to offer. And here's also another really messed up thing. Out of all the names that they show, like they heavily emphasize John Lasseter, which honestly at this point, you might as well just say frickin' John Lasseter, but then again, you would be too scared to do so because then people would look it up and then they'll discover about the misconducts that he has caused during his years at Disney. And you mentioned quickly a little bit about Vicky Jackson, and yet never once does it ever mention Alan Menken. Because one thing to go and clarify about Spellbound is that this is supposed to be a musical, which would feature music from Alan Menken and Glenn Slater. And that would have honestly been a perfect opportunity to go and say that this movie has songs from the people that brought you Tangled. That honestly would have been perfect. And debatably, other than the actors who would be in this, because this movie does have an all-star cast, Alan Menken is the most marketable name. And yet never once do they ever mention Alan Menken. Never did they ever bring him up. Never do they ever show any of his credentials. Like, they don't say, like, the composer or the songwriter of The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, and all that kind of stuff. They never alluded to that. Like, honestly, at the most, is just in the description of the YouTube video right over here, saying that it is from the composer of The Little Mermaid. And that's it. And by the way, not to mention that, have you guys noticed that there's something missing here? I'm going to ask the chat wall. Chat, what is the one thing that this trailer is completely missing? I'm asking you right now. Tell me. Let me see now. Let's see. Someone says songs. There we go. Well, someone mentioned something good. I mean, yes, but other than that, yes, songs. Where the fridge are the songs? Where are the musical numbers? Why is it that this trailer is hiding the fact that this is a musical? And not just that, but also presenting this movie like it's some kind of generic animated film with the fact that they would keep playing Don't Stop Believin' from Journey, which there have been some comments in here in which they would legitimately say that this is like the 200th movie that they would have a trailer and they would play Don't Stop Believin'. You know, like, honestly, it just, like, again, it just presents this not as another animated musical, but just another generic animated kids flick. You know, it's just doing the same song and dance routine that we've seen with just about every other animated feature. But my question is, though, why not present the songs? Why are you not presenting any of the musical numbers, let alone any of the score, any of the music that Alan Menken would go and play? Why not feature any of that? Honestly, I got 3 theories as to why this could be the case. Number 1, well, it could be the fact that this is just a teaser trailer per se, and there is still musical numbers, but they don't want to immediately go and show it. Number 2 would be the fact that maybe this is no longer a musical. Like, it was planned to be a musical, but then they decided to just completely remove it. And the fact that they only bring up the fact that Alan Menken is a composer of this movie and not actually one of the songwriters, that could be problematic. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe John Lasseter decided at the last minute to go and be like, okay, no, we're not doing musical numbers anymore. Musicals don't sell, so let's not do musical numbers. So they would scrap all that. So that could be also another option. Or my third theory, maybe the songs are absolutely so bad. I mean, it's hard to imagine because this is Alan Menken and Glenn Slater, and the stuff that they have worked on, that they collaborated on Tangled, both the movie and the series, they're absolutely incredible. But it could be a possibility that maybe the songs are just so bad that they're not worth marketing. So either way, though, the fact that the movie is a musical, yet it doesn't want to present itself as a musical, that I consider it to be problematic. But then there's also another thing that I do want to bring up that is within this trailer that I just can't help but find to be awful. It's the comedy. The comedy is downright cringe. They're just flat out terrible. And there are times when the comedy can be absolutely weird. And when I say weird, I mean weird in like a Trump supporter way, where it's more awkward and creepy, and it just makes me feel uncomfortable in general. Like, one good example is like near the end. I don't know about you, but like, anybody felt weird like with this gag coming in? Whoops, hold on a sec. Need to put in the audio.
I said drop 'em. Ugh. Guess we gotta be a bit more specific.
No. Honestly, especially from a John Lasseter produced movie, no, I don't feel like this film has the merit of making a dropping pants kind of joke. No, I'm not cool with that, honestly. That's just flat out wrong. And even like the other comedy as well, like even at the beginning, like with the, like with the frog thing right over here, like this little piece. Yeah, hold on a sec. Yeah, like,
I'm giving you 5 stars.
Yeah, that one honestly is another thing that sucks. I feel like it's one of those like pop culture references, or like trying to reference modern things but in a fantastical way. Like that, I also feel like it just absolutely sucks. So already just with the tone alone, it really puts me off, and it just makes me feel uncomfortable just from watching this. And not to mention, like, there's been a lot of people who, like, I noticed this, you mentioned it in a chat wall. Like, for me, I was thinking, okay, the plot kind of resembles a little bit like Pixar's Brave, but you actually made a better comparison where the story of this so far, it looks a lot like Spirited Away. And considering how John Lasseter has been noted to be a major fanboy of Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, that honestly makes a lot of sense. And yeah, there's a lot of comparisons between the plot lines of what we are seeing here in this trailer and with Spirited Away, especially with the parents turning into creatures and the whole mission that the girl has to go and try to find a way in order to turn them back into human while exploring this fantastical world. That actually does make sense. except except the storytelling is a lot more Americanized, and it's just going to be a lot worse. And especially if it's something that it's hoping to be like the next Spirited Away, yeah, good luck with that. That's already a failed mission right there. However, I'm just going to go and immediately say this right now. I am aware that maybe this is just the case that it's just very bad marketing. Maybe it's just the trailer itself that is god-awful, especially with the fact that technically this is a teaser trailer per se, but it's like 2.5 minutes long. I don't think this would count as a teaser anymore because you are showing way too much. This is honestly just a trailer. Honestly, like, just say it is a trailer. No, like, screw the whole teaser thing. But still, though, maybe it is just the trailer itself, and maybe this could actually turn out to actually be decent. Like, I am open to the opportunity or the option that maybe this movie might not be so bad, or it's not as bad as what this trailer would go and present. And one thing to go and mention, if there is one positive thing that I will give it, is that the animation is actually pretty nice, you know? I've already mentioned this before in my Luck review that Skydance actually does have a very talented and strong team of animators that are capable of making some amazing visuals. And I think there are some parts here, like, despite the fact that it looks a little too much like it's trying to be like Disney, the animation is not bad. I think it does have some pretty solid animation and even some nice moments where you see like a lot of the world building. You know, like, some parts I do think it actually does seem a little bit, it does look pretty cool. So I will give it that the visuals and the works that the animators have done, I think so far they have supplied the best job in here. But still, though, even with that, there is just not a lot of promise that I am seeing. And already this thing is quickly heading towards a disaster. Like, even if it is just the trailer's fault, maybe it's just the trailer itself, but the way that they are presenting Spellbound is just downright terrible. From the desperate push of using John Lasseter as a marketing tool, to the cringy humor, to the fact that it would hide the notion that this is a musical and would put in a generic song like Don't Stop Believing. I feel like anything that could go wrong with this trailer actually did go wrong in this. And honestly, I'm just really not excited. I'm really not that excited. I mean, there is nothing in this that I feel like there's just absolutely nothing that makes me feel like this movie would even be close to the quality of something like Wish, let alone any of Disney's more successful features like Frozen, Moana, Tangled, and so on and so forth. But so far with this, yeah, like I said right at the start, I don't see any reason why I would go and watch this instead of something like Wish instead. But if you are curious to go and check this movie out, then keep in mind that the film shall be released on Netflix on November 22nd. And with that said, now I would like to go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what did you think about the teaser trailer for Spellbound? Did you guys disagree with me and you actually enjoy it? Did you guys hated this? How do you feel about it? Let me know what you think. And also, we might as well go and do a little poll here. And, hold on a sec. Just need to actually write it down. There we go. So let me go and ask you all, will you be watching Spellbound? So I'm going to go and write down yes, and then I'm going to go and write down no. So let's see what the poll shall say, and let's see what the chat wall shall say now. Oh, son of a fish. You guys have a lot to say here. Oh boy, this trailer is not doing the movie any favors. I don't like how at the beginning it's shoving in most of the Pixar movies John Lasseter directed. Usually I wouldn't really care all too much, but this went too far. I am guessing Netflix wants to repeat the success of their movie Leo beating Disney's Wish last year. But from the looks of it, This is going to backfire hard on Netflix. Not looking forward to this at all. Oh yeah, like if they're gonna repeat that same kind of success this year, I'm saying it right now, there is no way that Spellbound would be able to beat Moana 2. And like regardless of how Moana 2 would turn out, even if it wouldn't be as good as the original, there's no way that Spellbound would somehow overshadow that film, let alone would go and overshadow Wicked. It's got a lot of obstacles ahead of it, and there's no way that it would ever find its way to be ahead in terms of relevancy. Other than the fact that maybe it would be so bad that it will get the same treatment as Wish did last year. Honestly, that's my guess. But other than that, though, yeah, there's no way that Spellbound would go and beat Moana 2. I'm just saying. Let's see. This may be the first time I look at a trailer and I just feel nothing. I guess there's a bit of creativity in the animation, but the voice actor's talents feel wasted, especially Zegler's, and everything else from the story to the comedy are so banal that it might be the first animated film in history to have no identity whatsoever. Also, I know we clown on the "from the visionary behind Toy Story and Cars" tagline they did on Lock, but the opening was just sad. Exactly. It's just the notion how it keeps, how it really doubled down on that and really forcing John Lasseter as a marketing tool when nobody actually wants that. Especially when people are not going to forget the history of John Lasseter's sexual misconducts. They're not going to freaking let go of that. In fact, that is a lot more of a detriment to Skydance Animation, more so than something that could be used as a promotional tool. Let's see now. What else do we have here? As much as I loved his movies, John is pushing me away, but I'll try to give this a chance. It looks amazing, but the script already sounds corny as heck, so I'm keeping my expectations very low. Also, I've grown tired of hearing Journey's music in trailers. By the way, AniMat's, to make it easy for you, my username is pronounced like this, Kilua. Kilua. Okay. Oh, did I mispronounce that before? I am so sorry, dude. I'm sorry, Kilua. So I'll try to remember. Kilua. Okay. So hopefully that will work out. And by the way, I do have the results of the poll that I made on Twitch, and it says here that, yeah, the majority of you will not be watching this. 83% of you who have voted actually said no. And honestly, I don't blame you. All right, let's see what other comments do we have here. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Animation is the only thing that looks worthwhile about this film, because otherwise, this looks more like a generic kids film. Not to mention that this comes out only a week before Moana 2, which is not a good sign. Also, Toy Story 3 was by Lee Unkrich, so the trailer got that wrong. Especially since Luck and One Law are both mixed bags. Maybe Rachel Zegler needs a better agent, and perhaps you should have talked about the new Transformers 1 trailer instead. Yeah, maybe I should have, actually. I probably should have done that. You know, actually, come to think of it, I might have an idea, but I'll save that for a little later. Anyways, what other comments do we have? Do we have time? Yes, we do have more time. Okay. I've never seen a trailer, let alone a teaser trailer, that is this generic in my entire existence in a very long time. I hate to say this, but I think Spellbound is going to be an absolute guarantee, a massive failure for not only Skydance, but to Netflix as well. I seriously do feel sorry for the good folks at Skydance that have to deal with John Lasseter's BS when clearly he doesn't care about quality anymore. Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if within the studio with John Lasseter that his mood has changed. Like ever since he got kicked out of Disney, his perspective, his outlook on life and on animation, it is completely different, and that is how we end up with stuff like Luck and Spellbound. All right, I think I only have time for one more comment, and then we're going to move on to our next break. Lordy Morty, advertising Lasseter's past works and not actually saying his bloody name. Own up to your choices and say his name. This is even worse than Lux marketing. And I actually love the Cars trilogy. This movie feels like a less interesting Brave. Like Merida was memorable in being selfish and not particularly a nice princess. I'm not even bothered by the musical movie not being advertised as a musical. I'm used to it at this point, but still crappy they don't advertise Mencken. Oh, I don't blame you whatsoever. So, I think it is almost unanimous right over here that with Spellbound, it's already becoming the next animated disaster on Netflix. I mean, it is bad enough that they presented the Sandy Cheeks movie, but looks like Lasseter is going to be right up next to get some of that hate from animation fans. But if you are still morbidly curious to go and check out Spellbound, then keep in mind that it will be coming out on Netflix on November 22nd.